At first it was just a speck, a data anomaly, a line of light crossing a digital sky. But very quickly it became something else, something terrifying. An object had entered our solar system. Fast, too fast. It wasn't part of any known orbit, didn't belong to the Oort cloud, and certainly wasn't following the rules of natural celestial motion. Even stranger, it came from a place in the sky that scientists have feared for decades, the same constellation from which we once received the infamous WOW signal. Now 3I Atlas, a new interstellar object, is charging toward the heart of our solar system. But what caught scientists completely off guard was what the James Webb Space Telescope just saw in its trail. Anomalous gas emissions, absorption lines that make no sense, and most disturbing of all, a signal, a pattern too structured to be random. A whisper from the darkness that has left top astronomers speechless. Is it natural? A cosmic accident or something that was meant to be seen? Now the world is watching because this time we may not get another chance. From the moment it was first detected, 3I Atlas was already defying expectations. Racing through space at a speed exceeding 61 km/s, faster than any known asteroid, comet, or natural body in our neighborhood. It was already well inside Jupiter's orbit and closing in on the Sun. But speed wasn't the only anomaly. Its trajectory was almost too perfect, a narrow, calculated path that just so happened to align precisely with the plane of our solar system's planets. A geometric coincidence so rare that it immediately raised red flags. Unlike other interstellar objects that enter at chaotic angles, 3I Atlas moved like it had a flight plan, skimming the ecliptic as if following pre-programmed waypoints. Even more unsettling, its path would take it dangerously close to Mars, a perfect observational window for our orbiters before it loops around the Sun. But it will never come close to Earth. In fact, Earth will be on the opposite side of the Sun during its closest approach, as if intentionally avoided. And this is where the suspicions began to grow. Because as astronomers looked deeper into its origin, they traced it back to a section of sky that has haunted SETI researchers for decades, Sagittarius, the same region that once emitted a powerful, unexplained radio burst known only as the WOW signal. Now another object from the same direction is approaching. But this one isn't silent. As 3I Atlas neared the inner solar system, scientists trained the world's most advanced instruments on it, including the Very Large Telescope in Chile and the James Webb Space Telescope itself. And what they found shattered expectations. When sunlight heats a comet, it causes ices to sublimate and metals to vaporize, releasing gases like iron and nickel together, always together, because that's how they form in stars. But this time something strange happened. Webb detected nickel gas but no iron, a highly unnatural separation, as if something was selectively releasing only one metal while keeping the other locked away. Even more bizarre was the presence of cyanide, which, although common in comets, spiked far too rapidly compared to the object's distance from the Sun. This wasn't a slow thermal reaction. It was a sharp, explosive chemical release, the kind not normally associated with rocks or ice, but with engineered materials under stress. Some experts, like Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, have publicly entertained the possibility that we are not looking at a natural object at all. What if this is not a comet but machinery? And if so, who or what built it? One of the most chilling aspects of 3I Atlas isn't just its path or its chemical signature. It's the way it glows. Normally, a comet shines by reflecting sunlight. The more reflective it is, the larger it must be. Based on its luminosity, 3I Atlas should be larger than Manhattan Island. But telescopic measurements suggest it's smaller, which means it might be producing its own light. An idea that breaks every known model of how interstellar bodies behave. Artificial light in deep space is something we only associate with spacecraft, satellites, or reactors. And as scientists began to model the heat distribution across the object's surface, something even more puzzling emerged: asymmetry. One side absorbed more heat, radiated more light, and showed gas emissions inconsistent with natural rotation, almost like it had exhaust ports or internal compartments. Suddenly, what looked like a rock started behaving like a probe. A probe designed not just to observe, but to blend in. And this isn't science fiction. In 2017, Oumuamua behaved in ways we couldn't explain either. But the scientific community moved on too fast. This time with 3I Atlas, we've learned our lesson. Because if it really is powered, if it really is artificial, then the question changes from what is it to who sent it and why now. And then came the signal, a faint pulse buried in the spectral data, one that didn't match any known continuum emission, solar flare, or cosmic background source. At first it was dismissed as interference, but as Webb's data continued to pour in, the pattern repeated. A non-random pulse, mathematically structured, echoing at intervals too precise to be natural. Scientists began comparing it to historical signals, fast radio bursts, pulsar beats, even the wow signal itself. What they found was terrifying. Not only did the new pulse share a similar frequency band to the wow signal, but it came from the exact same region of space, the Sagittarius constellation, a place long suspected of harboring mysteries we barely understand. But this time the signal wasn't distant. It was riding along with 3I Atlas, as if the object wasn't just emitting light and gas, but communicating. Whether intentionally or not, it became clear that we were no longer simply observing a rock from the stars. We were intercepting a transmission, one that might not have been meant for us, or perhaps one that was meant to be found when we were finally smart enough to notice. To fully grasp the terror behind 3I Atlas, we must rewind the clock to 2017. That's when Oumuamua, the very first confirmed interstellar object, slipped past Earth, silent, fast, and strange. At first it was thought to be a cigar-shaped asteroid, but its movement was inexplicable. It accelerated without a tail, no gas, no dust, no jetting ice to explain its behavior. Just a gentle push, like a spacecraft making a course correction. Scientists eventually gave up trying to explain it, choosing instead to label it a mystery and move on. But some never forgot. One of them was Avi Loeb, who insisted that we had missed something monumental, that we had ignored the evidence of something engineered. Now with 3I Atlas it feels like déjà vu, but worse, because unlike Oumuamua, which flew past before we could react, 3I Atlas is still here, still emitting strange signals, still shedding unnatural gases, and still following a path that mirrors the gravity assist flybys we use for our own probes. In other words, if Oumuamua was the warning shot, 3I Atlas might be the follow-up, a second contact, a second chance, or something else entirely. And this time we're ready, or at least we think we are. As more telescopes zeroed in on 3I Atlas, an idea began to spread through the more daring corners of the scientific community, an idea they weren't quite ready to publish, but couldn't keep silent about either. What if this object isn't just artificial? What if it's aware? Not in the way we understand consciousness, but in the way a predator watches from the shadows. Its trajectory is too perfect, its acceleration too deliberate, its silence too strategic. The gases it emits are the byproduct of design, not decay. Its approach vector allows it to observe the solar system's major planets without ever being observed itself. The alignment is surgical, almost like a survey mission. And when viewed through this lens, every detail becomes more sinister. The absence of iron, the precision of its path, the glow that defies thermodynamics, and now the signal. It's as if something is testing us, not contacting, not revealing, just watching, measuring our reaction, gauging our readiness, and perhaps preparing for something we're not supposed to understand yet. This isn't random exploration. This feels like intent. As strange as the trajectory and signal are, the object's chemical behavior continues to be just as confounding. James Webb's spectral analysis revealed a puzzling combination of compounds, primarily carbon dioxide, cyanide, and pure nickel vapor. Each of these by itself might be explained through natural processes, but together in these quantities, released at the speed and pattern observed, they tell a different story. Nickel isn't something you find in isolation in space. It always comes with iron, but here there's almost no iron at all. Cyanide, while found in comets, doesn't spike this violently, and carbon dioxide in such quantities suggests either an entirely new class of object or something that burns fuel. Loeb and others have pointed out that many industrial processes, especially those involving high-performance alloys or propulsion systems, can release this exact combination of gases under stress. So imagine a nuclear-powered spacecraft designed to endure extreme heat, built with exotic materials using engineered coatings and adhesives. Now imagine that it's passing close to the sun, its hull expanding, its seams cracking, releasing molecular byproducts not from melting ice, but from decaying technology. What we're seeing may not be the breath of a comet. It may be the leak of a dying machine. In the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, there's a theory that casts a long shadow, the dark forest hypothesis.